Hi everyone, Adam Frick with Cannabis One TV. We're here with Lindsay. She's with the California Cannabis Industry Association. They're one of the co-producers of this event, the California Cannabis Business Conference down in Anaheim. What's happening in the industry right now? Actually tell us what you guys do first.
Sure. So CCIA, as we're also known, is the most influential trade association in the state of California working on behalf of cannabis businesses. We work with cultivators, we work with retail operators, delivery, insurance providers, attorneys, across the board, and we advocate for their business interests in Sacramento.
All right, how long you guys have been around?
We're celebrating our 5th anniversary. You might see some logos in the background here for our 5th anniversary. We represent about 500 businesses across the state, 660 brands, over 10,000 employees. So yeah, we're growing every day.
All right, so what have you seen in the last 5 years as far as growth?
Yeah, so I mean, miraculous things have happened in California. It's been a tough road, but really 3 years ago, right around this time, there was a trio of medical bills that were passed through the legislature that put together a medical framework for the state of California. And then a year later, we had Prop 64, which was the adult use initiative. And so CCIA has been working really hard to help blend those two together, working with the regulatory agencies, the Bureau of Cannabis Control, along with the governor's office, to try and make these two frameworks come together. It has been a very challenging road. Last year we saw about 64 different bills move through the legislature that touched on cannabis. This year we saw over 50. So it's a changing landscape. We're just now seeing the final drafts of the regulations that are going to govern the industry. So there's a lot of moving parts, but it's progress for sure.
That's right. Now we heard a talk earlier today that there was they changed the regulations once again. There's now 152 pages, almost 60,000 words to read for these new regulations, and they said more changes probably coming down the way. Are you aware of these changes? Do you know what kind of those changes are going to be?
Well, we work closely with the Bureau and the other regulatory agencies to try and understand the changes as they are released. So we knew through this entire process we'd be seeing emergency regulation, readoption of emergency regulations, draft permanent regulations, and now we're on the second draft of the permanent regulations. So we've been able to digest the changes pretty quickly. We have a 15-day comment period that we're working with our members, particularly through our committees, in order to get feedback on how these changes are going to affect their businesses. So that's one of the main benefits of working with a group like CCIA, is that our members are actually heard and we can voice their concerns directly to the regulators. So once that 15-day comment period ends, we'll be submitting formal comments on behalf of our members, and then we might even see another draft, which might trigger another 15-day comment period. We'll have to kind of see what the regulators take into consideration with those comments.
Got it. Now, it seems to me that the regulations are going to come out as the foundation are going to be very strict and difficult to begin with. Do you see that over time loosening up and getting less and less as they start to see this industry evolve and the legitimacy come out and it being not the big evil bad thing that they're trying to protect everyone from?
Yeah, I do. I'm hopeful of that. I mean, I think we're starting with some really robust regulations, but we're also seeing really high barriers to entry. So a lot of the smaller folks who've been operating in the cannabis industry for a long time are struggling with licensing fees, they're struggling with the tax structures, just compliance issues in general. So, CCIA represents small businesses, we represent medium-sized and large companies. We want everyone to have a chance to thrive in this industry, and part of that is being regulated like any other industry in the state. So that's really the platform that CCIA advocates on, and we make sure that their voices are heard, because if we continue with a really rigid structure, a lot of these businesses are not going to survive, and what we're going to see is that the illicit market is still going to thrive, right? So if we want regulated cannabis and we want to make sure that these, that we're taking into account public safety and that there are taxes collected, we need to make it a realistic landscape for these companies to be able to survive in.
I agree. There's a fine line between overtaxation and undertaxation. There's a sweet spot in there where if you overtax it, the black market's going to survive or going to thrive, and if you undertax it, then the state isn't really effectively managing that industry.
Yes, huge priority for CCIA. Last year we were supportive of Assemblymember Lackey's bill, AB 3157, which aimed to lower taxes, and unfortunately that failed in the legislature this summer. We've been working with Lackey's office, hopefully on another bill that we'll be seeing as soon as the legislature reconvenes in Sacramento, addressing the same issue. I think there's broad support for it. Being able to lower these barriers to entry is extremely important, and the taxes is one of the biggest issues for sure.
So do you guys consider yourself like a chamber of commerce for the cannabis industry, or a lobbying firm, or somewhere in between?
Yeah, so we're a federally registered trade association, and we lobby on the state level, but we also actually work on the local level as well. We're trying to help open up a number of municipalities around the state that that are not friendly to commercial cannabis right now and have no ordinance on the books, so it's a de facto prohibition. So we're a little bit in between. You know, we create educational opportunities not only for our members, but also for lawmakers. So we host tours in retail establishments and grow facilities and testing laboratories, manufacturing facilities, to help educate the regulators and lawmakers on what this business really looks like, what the industry looks like, and what it's striving to do. And you know, our members want to be regulated. They want to be on the compliant side, and it's just a matter of, again, you said, finding that sweet spot so that they can actually participate and they don't have to operate on the illicit side.
Right. So I got a two-part question closing.
Yeah.
So you, as the executive director for NCIA,
CCIA.
or CCIA, I'm sorry,
worries.
CCIA.
No worries.
On the cannabis producer side, or the grower, or the person that's in the industry, and then on the investor on the outside, the people that are sitting there on the outside looking at this industry, trying to figure out, boy, what's going on? How do I get in? I don't want to say anything. It's still a taboo. What can you say to these people about this industry and the future of it going forward?
Sure. I think we've made huge strides in breaking down a lot of these misperceptions about cannabis and what the industry is and who the folks are that are operating here. We certainly do have legacy operators that have been, you know, quasi-legal for a long time. And what I actually see is the greatest, opportunities for folks coming into the industry is to partner with people who've been here for a really long time and have passion and love for this plan and for the industry. Cannabis prohibition has a really nasty long history, and there's a lot of people who have gone to prison for this plan. There's been, it is steeped in an unsavory history, and so I think being able to recognize that as an entrepreneur or an investor and having respect for that and partnering with people who have the know-how, who've been operating in the industry, I think those are the strongest relationships that we're seeing as the industry evolves.
Very good. Lindsay, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. All right, everybody. Adam Frick, Cannabis One TV. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.